Danke, Sabine. I will switch to English now. If you want to address your questions in German, that's no problem. I can read it. It's just not good enough to do a presentation in German. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to virtually meet you. I cannot see you. I see myself. That's actually pretty weird. But I know you're all out there, and thank you for tuning in this afternoon to our presentation on our research community capabilities of Insites Consulting. Let me start with introducing ourselves and our agency a little bit more to you, because some of you might not know us because we have not been in the German market for that long. It's now almost 3 years that we entered the German market. But both Nina and I work for a larger global agency called Insites Consulting. Here, this picture was taken about 2 years ago during our team building in the beautiful Ardennes in Belgium. And at the time, we were around approximately with 300 people in our agency. Today, we are an agency of around 600 people, so growing rapidly. And amongst these people that you see here on the picture are both Nina and I. I will not try to point it out because it's difficult to see, but here is a larger picture of ourselves. So I'm Anita. I'm the managing director of Insites Consulting here in the Düsseldorf office, so in Germany. Worked at Insites Consulting since 2011, started as the managing director from the Dutch office, and have worked in market research and marketing all of my career, which is about more than 25 years in the meantime. I have a personal passion for innovation research, so next to managing the team, I still serve clients in the domain of innovation research, amongst which are Henkel, Red Bull, and Ferrero. And Nina is my co-host of today. I think you can speak now as well, Nina, if you unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Nina. Good, very nice to have so many attendees in this virtual webinar. I've been working in market research all my life. Ever since I studied, I was actually really passionate, and I think my main passion is really helping companies to become more customer-centric. I have been working at Insites since 2008, and as many others of you today, I suppose, I'm sitting in my home office and hoping the kids will keep quiet for the next 20 or 30 minutes while we're presenting.
Yes. Let me tell you a little bit more about ourselves as an agency. We like to call ourselves the Next Generation Insight Agency. We are digital natives. We were founded in 1997 in Belgium, in Ghent. That's where our headquarters are. And we started with 100% digital research already back then, both qualitative and quantitative. Meantime, we have become a global agency with 17 offices across the globe, as you can see here. And next to client-facing offices, we, of course, when we run our communities across the globe, we do that in much more countries than just these 17. We do that in over 100 countries. And we do that together with our global community moderator network, because communities have to be moderated, of course, usually in local language, not always, but usually yes. Sometimes we do it in English. And therefore we work together with freelancers, usually experienced market researchers who have been working in the industry for many years and now work as a freelancer and assist us in moderating these communities in their local language, and of course also understanding the local culture, which is often very important to read data and to understand consumer behavior in the proper context. What else is there to know about from us? 20 years of expertise, of which around 10 to 12 years expertise in communities. We started in 2008 with our community offering, 600 professionals. We are very proud that we are on the top 10 of most innovative research agencies across the world. So according to the grid list, every year, we are in that top 10, and we are very proud on that. And we also strive to keep there by investing a lot in our R&D department. We call it our Forward Lab. They do a lot of research on research. We have our own technology, we have our own software, we have developed it ourselves and we deploy it on an everyday basis. And we are also a certified great place to work because in the end it's all about people. We work with people in our consumers that we collaborate with, we work with people at our clients that we serve, but of course we also work with people here in our office, although today I'm all alone here, but of course it's a people business, so we pay a lot of attention to that. And in doing so, we have won more than 50 global awards in the industry in the last couple of years. So that's a little bit about who we are, and of course we also have a mission as an agency, and that's where we say we empower people to shape the future of brands. That's what we are here for. That's our purpose. And I already touched upon the word people, that it's so important in our business, and it's also very important in the vision that we have in how we assemble our portfolio. And the next slide is showing how we see that. In every population, you can make like a distribution of 3 groups. There is the 90-9-1 rule, so to say. The 90% of each population are people that can help you evaluate. You can show them something and they will tell you, yeah, I like this, or I don't like that. They can maybe even tell you why they like something or don't like something, but they can just evaluate. They will give their opinion. Very important in our industry, and that's the majority of each population. Then there's a smaller part, the 9% of each population, that can help us curate ideas or concepts. They can tell us, yeah, I like this, but I would like it even better if you would improve that or change this. So they can help us improve our ideas, communication ideas, product ideas, concepts. That's a smaller part of the population, more rare to find. And then there's a very unique species, only the 1% of each population. Those are the people that can really help us to create. Those are really creative. We can give them just consumer insight and they can start ideating on that insight and give us ideas like the proper real co-creation. Now, our portfolio is actually adapted to these 3 groups of people in the population. Oh, now I see only the chat. I don't see my PowerPoint anymore. Can someone? Yeah, there we are again. Our offering is based on these 3 groups of the population. For the 90% that can help us evaluate, we have what we call our consumer consulting square, and more about that later. For the 9% that can help us curate, that can help us improve, we have our allem guides, which is a network of leading edge people, vloggers, influencers. They know the newest trends the fastest, and they can really help us curate to make our concepts more future-proof. And then for the 1% that can help us create, we have our ICA platform, which is a platform of 400,000 creators across the globe. We can give them assignments and they can really create like new pack designs or new product ideas, etc. Today, because today's topic is on research communities, we will focus on the upper part of our portfolio, the consumer consulting square. That's what our story will be about today, but just to give you a perspective of the other stuff that we also do. With our consumer consulting squares or communities, we strive to make an impact. That's what we're here for in the end. We are not in the business for doing research for research. Research has to deliver in the end something, has to deliver results and has to create impact at our clients. So let me start off with showing some cases that illustrate how we create impact with our research community. The first 3 cases on this slide are about our experience in delivering better, faster and cheaper innovation research. A lot of research done is in the field of innovation on new products, future concepts. And the first case on this slide is for CP UK, Serial Partners UK. who started with us a shorter term community. It was only 6 months, and also a rather small community of around 250 people. It was called the Future Serial Club, and what we did on this community was actually fast-tracking their innovation pipeline. They wanted to speed up their innovation pipeline, acting much faster, being much more agile than before. And as you can see here on the quote from Kelly Laher, we were really successful in doing so. The second case we have here is from Henkel, which is similar to the CP UK case. It's also about speeding up the fuzzy front end of innovation, but Henkel decided to go for a larger community. This community, the Living in the Urban Jungle community, consisted of 1,500 participants, and therefore it catered not only for qualitative research but also for quantitative research. But the objective was similar, speeding up the agile front end of innovation. And also this community was a very successful one. We started off with a pilot, and in the meantime we have deployed this methodology at Henkel for a couple of their business units in multiple countries. The third case I have here is from Philips, and this is actually a much larger case. It's a community, structural community in 12 markets around the globe. And Philips has decided to build really large networks. There are 3,000 to 5,000 people on their communities, because they not only use these communities for innovation research, but actually, well, basically for everything they do, also for their day-to-day business. So a lot of studies run on these communities every week across these markets. So these are all examples of branding, communication, and innovation. And of course, what we also do, a second domain where we do a lot of project in, is the domain of customer journey and customer experience research. And also for those, I've brought 3 cases with me today. The first one is from Royal Canin. They sell pet food, as you might know, but they were also interested in developing a suite of services around selling these products. So not just the product selling, but also the service layer around it. And for them, we developed a pet owner journey map with communities in these countries. We did that last year to establish the customer journey and identify all the touch points in the customer journey and help to improve and ideate on those touch points. The same thing actually we did for IKEA back in 2017. This customer journey was based on the job to be done theory, and also the last one for Converse in the sports area was on understanding the digital life of their core target group. And we brought to life their 4 persona that they identified for their core target group with the help of communities. And as you can see, these communities were all very multinational, more countries, many languages, and how we usually do that is that we run either local projects on each of these communities, or we aggregate projects across the countries and then deliver one report to the client aggregating all the countries. So these are some examples of how we create impact with our research communities at the clients. And now Nina will tell you how we make this work. How do we make sure that these communities are so successful?
Yes, thank you, Anita. Indeed, I want to talk a little bit more about how we actually make it work and how we ensure that that we get the most out of these communities. This is what as Anita mentioned, an example of what our community platform might look like. We call it the Consumer Consulting Square because we really want to engage your consumers or customers and involve them in a shorter term or longer term ongoing collaboration. So for this, on this platform, we basically unite people that we consider interesting and interested. They are coming together on this platform, and we can engage them in both qualitative and quantitative projects, be it ad hoc or on a continuous basis. Some of our communities are quite large and hybrid for qual and quant, and some are rather small when it's only about qualitative research. One thing that we really like to do a lot on these communities is getting an in-depth consumer understanding, and this is so important to do it digitally, especially now in these times of the corona crisis. These kinds of platforms are really the perfect way of still getting into consumers' homes, talk to them about how their life and their behavior is changing, and how they, how they shop, or how they behave at home. The other thing that we like to do on these communities is to really get bottom-up feedback from consumers. So there's an open space that we call the lounge, where they can post and in their own topics and interact with each other. And we do monitor that closely. Sometimes we see topics that are relevant to them popping up that can, inspire companies in terms of their innovations going forward. And it's really all there to help you become more agile in your decisions and enable, faster business decisions by having consumers really at your fingertips in these communities. The starting point when we set up a community is, of course, a consideration about how large or small does it have to be. Of course, we have a formula in place to determine the exact size, and there are a number of factors that go into. So we would look at your research plan, the number of studies that you estimate to be doing over a certain period of time. Of course, we take into consideration the incidence rate of the target group that we need, and then we take into account something that we call the conversion or response rate of our communities. And then we might end up with a smaller community with 100 people, or something that is hybrid that usually has around 1,500. But can be much larger in some cases, like Philips, as Anita said. So the onboarding process, how do we make sure that we get the right people on the platform? It actually works in most of the cases with the media buying approach. So that means that we do start from an online advert that we post on relevant websites where this community is advertised. And if people are interested, they can indicate this, and they get to our Square landing page. On this page, they will need to fill in some basic information about themselves, such as age and gender, region, etc. This is to make sure that we hit our quotas that we have for the recruitment. And once they have come across that step, they will, there's some formalities like confidentiality agreements and non-disclosure agreements. And once people have completed that, there is a double opt-in onboarding process, and then they are finally on the platform. What happens next, of course, is that we ask them to complete a profiling questionnaire, and this is where we collect basic information about them, about their lifestyle, or about how engaged they are with certain relevant product categories or even with brands. And this information stays there on their profile, so that it allows us for the future to only invite the really relevant target for each of the research activities. And of course, the big advantages of communities in general is that you only ask that information once, or you update it after a certain period of time, but you do not have to ask them every time which brands or products do you use in a certain context. So these are basically a group of people that we call the residents. So the people that we recruit from the beginning of the onboarding process is the group of people that we call the residents. They are longer term involved on this community. We do make sure that we have a good community health. We call that a community health check. We do that on a continuous basis. And usually after a period of 3 months or so, we actually refresh our samples to make sure that people who are, for example, a bit too inactive, or also the people who are a bit too active, are replaced with fresh sample on the community to make sure that there is no bias over time from people getting too engaged, or that we also can deliver the response rates that we expected. Now, in some instances, it might be that you have a study that is a little bit out of the ordinary and that we need very, a niche target or even experts of some sort that we want to bring on for a certain research activity or a series of activities, and we call those the visitors. So these are people that will be recruited on demand and that can stay on the platform just for the amount of activities that are needed. For example, often these are very young consumers or users of very specific product categories or brands that aren't easily found within the general population. Next, as the previous speaker Dirk already pointed out, we have also in our experience learned from consumers that they really like community research much more than ad hoc surveys, for example. We have discovered a number of different intrinsic motivation factors over the last 20 years or so, or 10 years since we've been doing this. So the first is, of course, that it's a social, there's the social aspect. So people are in a community, they have a social corner where they can interact without being probed or disturbed by us, trying to moderate or steer their topics and discussions. Then we try to make this experience really fun. So whenever possible, we try to use gamified approaches. We also make sure that the activities that we post are convenient for people so that they can take them in their own time and that they are not too long. So whenever possible, we try to, with quantitative activities, for example, limit their duration to maximum 6 to 10 minutes so that it's really bite-sized kind of research and then we're not asking too much of them at a given time. And then we know also that people feel really motivated by the fact that this is an exclusive environment. So somehow they are privileged to always be the first ones to know about new product ideas or communication ideas that are coming out. They like to learn from other like-minded people in the community. And of course, we also make sure that we say thank you from time to time so that they feel really recognized for their efforts. Now, something that is also really important is that in order to keep people engaged over such a long period of time, we need to make sure that we offer them diversity in the kinds of activities that we post. So our Forward Lab, our R&D team, have actually developed over time a really huge set of toolboxes. I think it's over 60 tools in there now, and they can be categorized to fulfill different kinds of activities, which we can cluster into activities where we want people mainly to think, but also there are activities where we pay attention to the design that we enable people to get to their emotions and feelings. And then there are others where we get people to do stuff or to actually create or co-create things. An example, for example, for think activities is that we actually give them simple tasks where they might swipe or rank or rate ideas, where we give them choice tasks or let them tell us stories or, do more rational kinds of discussions about behaviors, etc. Whereas a feel activity might be something where we really need to get to the implicit associations by giving them tools such as projective techniques or collage tools and other really tools that are suitable to get to their emotions and more subconscious motivations. Then we have do activities. This is really where we ask them to go out and do stuff. So it may be things that they can do at home. Tell us how you, I don't know, shave your legs, or tell us how you decide what you cook for dinner. But also there can be things outside of the home. Shopping missions and safaris are very popular. We actually get people to go to the stores, take photos or videos, and report us back about their shopping experience. And the final set is the activities where we ask them to make stuff, and this is really where we ask them to, optimize ideas. This is where we show them things, ask them about their feedback, and then we get them to optimize those ideas, concepts, or designs, or anything like that. So I would like to actually conclude by telling you what would be the key takeaway about working with Insites Consulting. The first is that we are a one-stop agency for integrated qual and quant communities. They can be ad hoc or longer-term structural communities. What's also good to know is that we consider ourselves a full-service agency, so we do offer full service for many of our community projects. But nowadays we are also becoming more and more flexible because more clients are asking for, DIY solutions or do-it-together approaches. So the servicing model itself that we have is rather flexible. Second, we have a consultative mindset. So for over 10 years, we have been doing consumer communities and have been one of the first in the field. And with that, we have developed quite a good knowledge, and it's really important to us. That's also why we call ourselves Insites Consulting, to have a consultative mindset and, beyond just doing really, really good research, also help our clients to actually put those insights into practice and to use them to the best possible way. So we do a lot of workshops and even trainings for our clients. Third one is we can deliver in-depth insights and inspiration. So that is also, related to the amount of workshops and trainings that we do. And number 4 is that we are really agile, so we like to put that kind of practice, because we think it's the best practice, into the way we work with our clients as well. So creating continuous cycles of where we develop something and then we test it with consumers, then we adopt it, we amend it, and we test again. So this continuous cycle is really important, and we think it's good practice in general to work in that agile way. The other thing to keep in mind is that we have a global research footprint with our 17 offices and the global network of moderators. And the big thing that's related to the consultative mindset is that we really want to help you to actually use those insights to make an impact in the business. That could be engaging a much larger number of stakeholders more actively and really pushing through and making sure that the insights are actually used in the company, but of course also making a financial impact and actually bringing your business further. So that was us. We would, of course, be very happy to provide some demos of our Square capabilities. If you're interested, then just get in touch with us, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation today.